Why do we have enemies? We think we hate them because they are bad, because they are arrogant, greedy, or cruel. We spend hours thinking about how wrong they are. But have you ever wondered why their flaws bother you so much? Why does their noise make you angry, while another's noise does not? What if your enemy is not just an obstacle, but a mirror? This was the fire that burned inside a man named Dorian. Dorian was a talented merchant, known for his quiet skill and dedication, but his heart was a knot of resentment, tightened by one person, his rival, Silas. Silas was everything Dorian was not. He was loud, he was boastful, and he was undeniably successful. Every day, Dorian watched from across the marketplace as Silas laughed, bragged, and collected crowds around his stall. "Look at him," Dorian would mutter to anyone who would listen. "He is so selfish. He loves the sound of his own voice. He has no true skill, only a loud mouth and shameless pride." To Dorian, the world was simple. He was the good hero, working diligently in the shadows. Silas was the bad villain, stealing the spotlight with cheap tricks. But this story, Dorian told himself, came at a great cost. He found no joy in his own sales. He could not appreciate his own craft. Every moment of his own success was poisoned by the thought of Silas's even greater success. His obsession with Silas's flaws made him miserable, chaining him to a cycle of anger and envy he couldn't see. Determined to prove to the world that he was right, Dorian decided he needed a way to expose Silas's wickedness once and for all. He had heard whispers of a mystical artisan, a guide who lived secluded in the quiet hills beyond the town. They called her Ilara. It was said she inhabited the cave of reflections and possessed a mirror so pure it did not show a person's face, but their true nature. Dorian's plan was simple. He would journey to this cave. He would borrow the mirror, and he would hold it up to Silas in the middle of the crowded market, revealing the arrogant monster he knew was hiding underneath. With his enemy's true character exposed, Dorian believed justice would finally be served, and he would be free. He found the cave entrance veiled by a curtain of hanging vines. Inside, the air was cool and smelled of stone and old wood. A blind woman sat polishing a sheet of glass, her movements slow and deliberate. It was Dorian did not waste time with pleasantries. "I am here for the truth mirror," he announced, his voice echoing in the quiet space. "I need it to show the world that my rival, Silas, is an arrogant fool." Ilara stopped her polishing. A sad, knowing smile touched her lips. She turned her sightless eyes toward the sound of his voice. "The mirror shows the truth, yes," she said softly. "But the truth it shows is not always the one we expect to see. Are you ready for it?" "I am," Dorian insisted. "I have nothing to hide. It is Silas who should be afraid." With a sigh, Ilara stood and pulled a velvet cloth from a large, ornate frame leaning against the cave wall. The mirror beneath it was flawless, shimmering with an inner light. "Then look," she invited. Dorian stepped forward, his heart pounding with anticipation. He leaned in, expecting to see Silas's face twisted into a monstrous caricature of arrogance. He imagined horns, a snarling mouth, anything that would validate the hatred he carried. But the face that stared back at him was not Silas's, it was his own. He saw himself, Dorian. But the reflection was not the quiet, resentful man he knew. In the mirror, he was shouting, he was boasting, he was posturing and demanding attention, acting with the very same shameless pride he despised in Silas. He recoiled in shock and confusion. "This is broken," he cried out, pointing a trembling finger at the glass. That is Silas's behavior, but it is my face. The mirror is flawed. Ilara remained calm. The mirror is not flawed, Dorian. It is only honest. She began her lesson. Imagine you see a man with a spot of mud on his shirt. You only recognize it as mud because you yourself know what mud is. You have seen it. You have perhaps even touched it. The things that anger us most in others are often the very things we carry within ourselves. Dorian stared, uncomprehending. Ilara continued, her voice gentle but firm. You hate Silas's arrogance, Dorian, because you carry the seed of arrogance in your own heart. It is a part of you that you have suppressed, that you are ashamed of. When you see him display it so openly, so shamelessly, it enrages you. It is a reminder of a part of yourself you refuse to face. She took a step closer. Think of it this way. What we cannot forgive in others is often a shadow of what we cannot forgive in ourselves. Silas is loud, and you hate him for it. But perhaps it is because you desperately want to be heard, yet are too afraid to raise your own voice. He is your shadow, Dorian. Every complaint you have about him is a disguised confession about a desire or a fear within you. You are not fighting Silas. You are fighting yourself, and you have made him the battlefield to avoid looking within. The mystic's words hung in the air, each one landing like a heavy stone. Suddenly, it was as if a bolt of lightning illuminated the dark cave of Dorian's mind. He stared at his reflection, but this time he truly saw it. He saw the shouting, boasting man in the mirror, not as a distortion, but as a hidden truth. The constant, burning obsession with Silas was not righteous indignation. It was envy. It was a suppressed ego, screaming to be acknowledged. He had hated Silas for being everything he secretly wanted to be, but was too proud or too frightened to become. The anger, the bitterness, the hours spent cataloging another man's faults. Sit was all a grand distraction. It was a way to avoid the painful work of looking at his own insecurities, his own unfulfilled ambitions. In that moment, the immense weight of his hatred didn't just lessen, it vanished. It was replaced by a quiet, humbling wave of shame, and then something new, acceptance. He finally understood. Silas was never the problem. The problem was the reflection Dorian refused to see. Dorian left the cave a different man. He did not take the mirror. He no longer needed it. He returned to the bustling market the next day. Soon enough, he saw Silas holding court at his stall, his booming laugh echoing across the square. The old Dorian would have felt a surge of rage. He would have muttered a curse and felt the familiar tightening in his chest. But now he felt nothing of the sort. There was no anger, no resentment. Instead, he felt a strange and unexpected sense of compassion. He saw not an arrogant villain, but simply a man living his life in the only way he knew how. Dorian offered a small, genuine smile to no one in particular. Then he turned and walked back to his own shop. He focused on his craft, on his customers, on the simple joy of his own work. By finally accepting the flaws within himself, he had taken away all the power his enemy held over him. He was no longer a prisoner of his own hatred. He was free. The moral is that our enemies often serve as mirrors, reflecting the dark parts of ourselves that we refuse to acknowledge. When we stop projecting our own shadows onto others and begin to heal what is within us, the behavior of others no longer has the power to disturb our peace.